السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. لعله المنظر الأخطر في العالم بحسب المختصين، ويقال عنه دماغ الرئيس الروسي فلاديمير بوتين، هو المفكر ألكسندر دوغين أبو الأوراسية والنظرية الرابعة. يحدثنا عن العلاقات الروسية الأمريكية الصينية والمنطقة، وعصر أفول الأحادية القطبية، وصعود التعددية في الأقطاب، وتحديدا أين من الداخل. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. لعل البروفيسور ألكسندر دوغين المنظر والمفكر وعالم الاجتماع والمؤرخ الروسية وفلسفته لا يمكن أن يغيبا عن الحياة السياسية الروسية، باعتبارهما حلقة أساسية في التاريخ الفكري الروسي. ولعل هذا الرجل الغزير بإنتاجاته الفكرية، حيث ألف أكثر من 60 كتاباً في التاريخ والاجتماع والجيوسياسة، هو واحد من أكثر الفلاسفة الروس المعاصرين شعبية، والذي تحلى بتأثير مباشر على فكر الرئيس الروسي فلاديمير بوتين. وبحسب دوغين فهو ليس مستشاراً لبوتين، لكن له تأثيراً أقوى بكثير، لأنه عندما وصل بوتين إلى السلطة شرع في تبني نظريات دوغين. البروفيسور دوغين أبو الأوراسية، وفي لقاء سابق مع برنامج من الداخل من العاصمة الروسية موسكو، تحدث عن الحركة الأوراسية والنظرية السياسية الرابعة لمواجهة الليبرالية في بلاده، التي تترجم إلى ترويج وجهة نظر العالم المتعدد الأقطاب. يحدثنا أكثر عن نظرياته الجيوسياسية وامتداداتها وتأثيرها اليوم.
I think that the most important thing that has influenced on our president and has defined up to a certain measure his politics was not so much fourth political theory that I have started to develop 2008. But geopolitics, Russian geopolitics. The
Foundations of Geopolitics.
Foundation of Geopolitics was
this
published.
This textbook, which is very important.
Yes, that was the first manual on geopolitics, first text on geopolitics published in Russia, in post-Soviet Russia, in the middle of the 90s. And that was the beginning of Russian geopolitical thinking, because before it was considered in communist time as kind of bourgeois or fascist theory, and only in the 90s, after the Soviet Union, I was the only one who defended that.
Back then, this was the time when you were given the platform to talk about your ideas and your political theories. Before, you were just put aside.
Yes, in the Soviet time I was dissident because from my youth, in the beginning of the 80s, I was converted into traditionalism. Traditionalism, it is a kind of philosophy that is in favor of sacred tradition against modernity, against communism, liberalism, all kind of modernity against the West. So that was very rare in the Soviet Union, so I was absolutely marginal at that time. But when the end of communism came, I was among those who were prepared for that, but not to go in the liberal direction, but to affirm alternative conservative values. That was very rare as well in the 90s, but they gave me nevertheless a kind of platform, the kind of space to develop that discourse. And first of all, there was huge ideological void because communism was the dominating ideology, and when it was destroyed, there was a huge void. But mostly this voice was felt by strategists, by military men who were totally have lost. They
were in vacuum.
Absolutely in vacuum. They have lost the possibility to understand why NATO still progressed, encircling Russia. What is going on? We declared ourselves liberal democracy, the part of the West, and the West still continues attack us. And
the Atlantis.
Exactly. That was when I have introduced this most important concept, Eurasianism and Atlanticism. So I suggested to regard the situation from geopolitical point of view. There is land power represented by Russia, and that wasn't independent. That wasn't dependent from what ideology we have. So a land power, it is strategical position. So we were land power, we were Tsarists, we were land power, we were communist, and we still are land power when we are liberal democratic as Russia in 90s. So, but this geopolitical identity was so important to orientate ourselves, above all for military circles, and the position of Atlanticist, of the sea power, that was represented in the early time by British Empire, after that by capitalist camp, by United States of America,
Canada, United States of America.
Yes, but in the end of the century, 20th century, that sea power was represented by the global West, by globalization. Exactly. So, and our country as a heartland, as a land power, was always permanently under attack. That was absolutely clear for military men. And in that sense, geopolitical school that I have founded, with some connections with the General Staff and Academy of General Staff, that filled the void. Not for all society, but filled the void for strategical thought in Russia. And that prepared the ground for Putin, because in military circles, that was the only way to deal with the reality, because politically we were on the side of the West, and military, our generals, our secret services, always saw that there is that always permanent attacks against us. So how to explain them? How one liberal democracy attacks the other?
But Dr. Dougan, you also criticized Putin for being too slow in bringing about his vision of the world.
Basing on this geopolitics, and basing as well on Russian conservative philosophical tradition, I have developed a kind of ideology, Eurasian ideology. Geopolitics was only part of it. I think that Putin has taken this geopolitical approach, some conservatism, but not this ideology as such. He is realist, Putin. So he adapts some that he thinks is useful to solve.
He needs an ideology.
He don't know that he needs, but he
doesn't realize that.
Yes, he doesn't realize, and he doesn't recognize that. He needs, absolutely, he badly needs ideology, and in our situation that could be only conservative Eurasian Orthodox ideology, but inclusive, not exclusive, not nationalist, not ethnic, not but Eurasianism is the only one possible option, or whether liberalism or Eurasianism for us. But Putin is rather pragmatist, he realist. He tries to use Eurasianism when it is
in
his favor, but he prefers to be free from any kind of ideology. So I think that is the limitations of his.
So your criticism.
That is exactly my criticism. So not because he is Putin, but because he is not enough Putin. So he doesn't institutionalize. He doesn't give institutional dimension of his rule. So his rule is very fragile. He is very good as person. He is rather Eurasianist. He is rather patriot, and so on. He's strong. He strongly believes in sovereignty, and that is already much. So I support him generally, but I think everything in our politics is we could represent in such picture. There is a conservative Eurasian people. There is Atlanticist elite, pro-Western, liberal, and there is Putin above that. But between Putin and people, there is obstacle. There is this zone controlled by liberal elites. They don't let Putin to come to people or people to come to Putin. So they usurp, in certain sense, both. They block relations between Putin and the people, and don't let to create institutions, intellectual, educational, strategical institution. So it is a rather not perfect Eurasianism. It is fragmented. There are fragments of Eurasianism, and we can feel it in some situation, including in the foreign policy of Russia, but much more in the inner domestic politics.
Yes. Allow us, Dr. Dougan, to stop for a short break, and then after the break we're going to continue talking about the rise of certain kind of polls, particularly in our part of the region, but after the break, sir. إذا فاصل قصير ونعود، لا تذهبوا بعيدا. لعل الأحادية القطبية لا تزال ناشطة وتعمل بجد لتهيمن وتحافظ على اليد العليا للغرب في العالم من خلال إضعاف الأقطاب الصاعدة الأخرى وأبرزها روسيا والصين. وتعمل الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية جاهدة اليوم على تفكيك التحالف الروسي الصيني، إذ أن هذا التحالف من شأنه التعجيل والتسريع في الانتقال إلى التعددية القطبية. البروفيسور ألكسندر دوغين المفكر والمنظر الروسي إلى أي مدى يرى أن الوصول إلى عالم متعدد الأقطاب يمثل قضية وجودية لكل من روسيا والصين اليوم؟
It is absolutely existential issue. I agree with this analysis. I think that now we are in the process in the process of the shift from unipolar world order to the multipolar world order. But unipolar world order is ending. It has not ended yet. That is as well the process of decline of unipolarity. We see many signs of decay of this Western hegemony. President Macron has said about that. Putin has said about that. Everybody is talking about the end of this Western hegemony, but we should be careful. It is still here. It could attack. It is wounded dragon, a kind of wounded dragon.
That's a very good picture.
And that it could harm. It could harm because it tries to stay in life. So unipolarity, it is the ending or collapsing system, and that has almost 30 years. That was world order, a unipolar world order or unipolar moment. And now, that is important. There is a shift. And nobody can say whether we are already in the multipolarity or still in unipolarity. There is superposition of both. And point of no return, of irreversibility. We could not say whether we have already passed it or not yet.
But you know, if we just read the dynamics, sir, we have Russia, we have China. China is a very great power, which can also become, or which is also a pole, we can say. We have Iran, we have Turkey. I mean, the world is changing and changing very fast, and it's changing in favor of having a multipolar system. And luckily that Russia, China, Iran, Turkey, they are on the same axis together.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I think that
you have also India, you have Pakistan.
Yes, I think that maybe we have passed this point of no return from unipolarity to the multipolarity recently. Maybe we are living just now in that moment. So that is happening. This passage, this transformation, this shift is happening now, precisely now. And many things, the balance of power is changing any minute. For example, when I, for the first time, visited 1 year ago, a little more, China, I was very astonished by their clear understanding of multipolarity. They didn't speak loud, openly about that 1 year ago. They didn't speak. But this year, when
it surfaced.
Yes, they pronounce carefully these words. So that's very important because China is very, very careful dealing with the West, but in the trade war.
But because of the trade war
Yes,
recently,
yes.
also with America, you know.
Absolutely. And there is the other sign. Putin has declared Greater Eurasia as alliance between Moscow and Beijing.
Beijing, yes.
And that was idea to link together BRI project, Belt and Road project, and Arctic project and Eurasian project. So we have full integration or cooperation between two poles. If it will be in the future, that will be the foundation of multipolar world that could give to all the other poles to exist. But I think that if Russia and China will stay together, multipolar world order will be granted. And I agree.
They were also talking, sir, in the sense about a financial alliance together, like using, you know, because of the dollar issue and the problems and the sanctions, of using their currencies in their business trade dealings together.
Absolutely, that will be a solution. But first of all, we have the huge nuclear power as Russia, with a great amount of natural resources, and we have huge financial power as China. Putting together, we are, when we put them together, we are already in the multipolar world order. But I think that position of Turkey, of Iran, are extremely important. And interesting, being in Beijing last time in this summer, in the conference, there were Americans, Russians, Chinese, Pakistanis, Indians. And one expert of respectful scholar from India has said that India as well is going to join multipolar club. And that was more or less the same position of Modi at Vladivostok Forum. So if India enters, so we are already in the multipolarity. But I think that China, India are not so much involved politically in some crucial issues, Middle Eastern,
right, Middle Eastern, the Arab region.
But that is a kind of screen or mirror where we could define where we are in the global politics. And I think, that Iran and Turkey play here.
Are the rising poles. I just want to refer here to an incident, and you are, sir, very well known for your prognosis. Something that happened with you while you were in Turkey in 2016, just hours before the military coup d'etat against President Erdogan. You were talking and you were expecting that Turkey is going to witness serious escalations on the ground. And just after 4 hours, look what happened. The downing of the Sukhoi, you were there to try to negotiate and to clear the vision of what really happened, who was really responsible for the downing of the Sukhoi in Syria. And also the incident of the assassination of the Russian ambassador, also after those incidents, you've known what happened and what was lying beneath. Okay, but this was not so much brought into the public. It was just, people were wondering, why are the Russians talking back again to the Turks? Because the Turks are responsible for so and so.
Because that is,
you've known all the story. You were the linchpin. Yes.
After the downing of our, before the downing of our plane, there was a hidden secret talks between Erdogan and Putin has let Erdogan more or less to enter Syria,
to the north of Syria,
to fight against Kurds. After that, there was this incident,
downing of the Sukhoi
of the plane that could not be in favor of Erdogan, and we were put on the edge of the war. Who will be interested in that? In my opinion, only some third part. And I've tried to make inquiry in Turkey through my friends, and they have, little by little, they have discovered that Erdogan didn't do this decision to down.
It was those who were responsible.
That was already preparation of coup d'état by Gülenists.
Gülenists, yes.
So, and Putin didn't want to have any contacts with Syria. He was very, very irritated, very angry. He thought Erdogan has betrayed him.
Exactly.
And that wasn't so, because Erdogan was betrayed himself by inner pro-American globalist opposition. And when we have discovered that, we informed Putin on one side, and we prevented Erdogan about what was going on. So,
you were there.
I was there in all this open and hidden part of this dramatic moment of history, not because only of my ideas about importance of Russian-Turkish alliance, but as well that was Russian national interest, avoid the war with Turkey. And for Turkey, that was the matter of existence, the war with Russia.
I would appreciate to ask you one last question before we close our interview, that to talk about the strikes that took place against Saudi Arabia, against the crude processing installation. Anthony Kordsman writes, quote, "The strikes on Saudi Arabia provide a clear strategic warning that the U.S. era of air supremacy in the Gulf and the near U.S. monopoly on precision strike capability is rapidly fading." So it's very clear that a great shift is taking place in the region, and this is what we've been talking about, that we are witnessing. How much would the smart missile attack against Saudi Arabia be considered a precision strike on U.S. credibility, shattering a U.S. paradigm?
I would compare this event to this smaller regional level as 9/11. So 9/11 has shown to the world that United States are vulnerable. And after that, there was a clear decline. In spite of all intervention, that was the ending. That's the beginning of the end of American hegemony. I think in the regional level that it is the same symbolism, and that is beginning of the end of Saudi Arabia. We thought that was very coherent, homogeneous, and very powerful country controlling airspace, killing innocent Yemenis and Houthi in the north, so they could do what they wanted to do. So now that is the end of regional Saudi hegemony. So that is the beginning of the end of Saudi Arabia.
Right, sir. Allow us to stop now. We have finished this part, but we promise our viewers that we're going to talk more with you about your philosophy, your philosophical theories, your new research in civilizations. Professor Alexander Douguin, Russian theorist, thinker, and philosopher, many thanks indeed for joining us, sir. Always welcome. إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد وقضية جديدة ودائما من الداخل. للمزيد من التواصل تابعوني زينب الصفار ومن الداخل على صفحات السوشيال ميديا من كل فريق عمل البرنامج من كل الميادين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.